Hey, what's up? This is Jason Drill, and welcome to Sales System Experts, episode 11, with Aaron Parkinson, the man, the myth, the legend. How are you doing, Aaron?
I'm doing good. I want to point something out this morning for those
Yeah.
people who think that consistency is easy. So my wife wants me to take a weekend off, which is a very rare thing. And she's like, "You're going to take Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off." And I'm like, "I will after I do my sales systems expert podcast, because I don't want to break the trend. I don't want to I don't want to be like not having, the consistency of the 11th week." So this is like my last work thing for today before I take a weekend off. But the point is, I did it because I committed to it, and that's the end of it, right? So it's not easy to be consistent, but it's a thing that separates good from great, right? Like, you're gonna do the thing, you do the thing, right? That's it.
Yeah.
And then you figure out how to make everything else work around it.
Right. You show up. And
Yeah.
you
90% of it is just showing up.
90% of it is just showing up. Yeah.
I used to have a gym, a CrossFit gym, which I don't know if you've ever done CrossFit before, but it's very hard.
My wife is very, very into CrossFit. I didn't know you had a gym.
Yeah, I've been doing CrossFit for 6 years.
Really?
Yeah, I had a gym for 2.
In Cayman?
In Canada.
Oh, okay.
And our CFO of 7 Mile, owns the CrossFit gym in Cayman that I go to. And his wife has been to the games 5 times. She's like elite of the elite.
Really?
Yeah. So that's who we're going on vacation with this weekend, is Carl and Wanda. If you look up Wanda Brenton, she's been in the top 10 for over 40. Like, I think she did it in her 30s and her 40s. She's in her 40s now, and she's qualified for the World Championships 5 times.
Holy shit! Yeah.
Yeah. So that and they as a team have been to the games as a team. They've actually won the Latin America qualifier about 6 or 7 years ago, and they went as a team.
Yeah.
And some of the biggest celebrities come here before the games to prepare. So we work out a lot of times with like people like Sam Briggs and really high level CF athletes, which means I'm the weakest person in the
They're fucking ridiculous.
I'm just trying to keep up. I'm just trying to, Wanda and I, they call us the A team because we like to go out and have fun and cause a ruckus.
Right.
And when I try to work out beside her, it's like working out with my 8-year-old. Like, it's very emasculating, Yeah. I just try to hold on and stay alive.
Yeah, the whole mass exodus of CrossFit affiliates has been interesting, and now the takeover by a 10-year CrossFit veteran. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the brand.
Yeah, it was interesting with their brand here is they decided to separate, and not because of Glassman's statements. If anything, Carl came out and said, "Look, I judge a person by their actions, not by the media," and he broke down all of his actions. Supporting minorities and stuff over the last 10 years, like things that you and I will never do.
Right.
That he has done.
Yeah.
But he understood it was stupid to make the comments. Bad timing, bad judgment, et cetera, et cetera. So they kind of, they were staying the course, but then another rash of stuff just came out about Glassman, essentially being like a sexual predator. Yeah. And he was like, "Okay, that's it. Like, I'm done." And it's disappointing because the culture of CrossFit is amazing.
Yes.
The impact and the results on people is amazing.
Yeah.
And Glassman is a genius, but Glassman is an asshole. Yeah. And he's said stupid things for a decade, where he's just been so full of himself that he has no filters. And eventually it was going to catch up to him, and now it has. And now they're going to have to rebuild that brand.
Yep.
because you're CEO of a billion-dollar brand can't be an unhinged lunatic.
Right. Yeah.
And, they're going to have to rebuild off of his, indiscretions.
Well, and even then it went from like CrossFit Games to CrossFit Health, and then he was championing a totally different thing, and now then this happened, so it was like death of a thousand cuts, kind of.
Yeah, I feel like they really got away from their core values and their core business model, and the core values and business model was very much based off of law enforcement, military, pushing the limits, challenging science, redefining what fitness was, really opening people's eyes to what they could accomplish. And then it kind of became, more business related than core culture related, more about the money and the exposure than the actual core values. And I think what you'll see is they'll strip back down to the core values, and then refocus on what made them what they were. And either they'll survive or they won't. I mean, the reality is the programming is amazing and the culture is amazing. It's stuff above that that's been the problem.
Right.
Which is always directly correlated to the CEO.
Yeah. Yep.
That's the person who's supposed to be guiding the ship.
Right.
And he has not done a good job.
Right. Well, that went off on a tangent. That was fun,
that's
though.
what we're here for. This is our show. We can talk about whatever we want. We can, you could take that and implement that into your business. I mean, the reality is that as as our stuff grows, and our team grows, and we were talking about this right before the call, you have to become a different person as your business grows. And people who are watching this have businesses. And when you're starting your business out, you have to be very much like fire and brimstone and almost borderline psychotic to get traction and get momentum. Like anybody who thinks you just sit down and you fire up a business and it's good to go is either delusional or just like one in a million lucky people. Like it just doesn't happen. You and I sit in this chair 12 hours a day and grind and brick by brick by brick by brick. That's how businesses are built. Right. But as the business grows and you increase your team and you increase your revenue and you increase your reach, right? Your role, if you decide to be the CEO, evolves with the role. And your role evolves from being the warrior to being the general. And it's not the same person. You have to evolve as a personality, because as you grow, it becomes a lot more about who do you attract into your team? What are the core values of the company? How do you support them in their ambitions and their career goals? How do you paint that picture to join your movement? How do you keep them motivated and make them feel good about the community that they're a part of? And if you're still the warrior, that does not facilitate the feeling of
inclusiveness.
What?
Inclusiveness.
Inclusiveness, right? And there are anomalies. Like there are examples like Steve Jobs was very much like it's my way or the highway. So there are examples of people being like that, and still being successful. But for the most part, it doesn't work that way. The CEO is almost like the chief bum patter, of the, right. That's, I'm reading this book right now. I don't know if you've read it. It's Robert Iger.
It's great.
Time. He was the CEO of Disney. Right. The CEO's job is not to be like moving and shaking and creating and causing a ruckus and doing all of these things. It's about smoothly guiding the business in a very conservative growth trajectory, and keeping it in the guardrails. Right. And Glassman is the perfect example of somebody who is not good at keeping things in the guardrails.
Right. Yeah.
And he probably should have been removed. Like when I had my gym, and this is just my opinion. Everybody has different opinions. I mean, Carl has different opinions than I do, and that's okay. We're all allowed to have different opinions. When I had my gym in 5 years ago, I saw him more caring about more affiliates, more money, more revenue than caring about the independent affiliates and their businesses. It was almost getting like McDonald's, where you had affiliates getting started next to each other and 5 in, you know, one town, and like it got away from protecting, you know, the results of the affiliate and more about how much money can we make, right? And so I actually felt 5 years ago he was no longer the right fit. He had grown it to the point where he had reached the level of his evolution and he was not evolving anymore. And it was really the time to bring somebody in that was more polished and, you know, experienced and capable of that level of business. And had they done that, I think you would have seen, you know, the same trajectory. I think if they just stuck with like affiliates, exclusiveness, the games, not changing everything, you would just see this, you know, they had Reebok on board. Like they needed to just keep it in that simple, controlled growth trajectory. And then it just kept getting like crazier and crazier going all over.
Right. Well, that's in that book that you're reading, Bob Iger there. He was the perfect and probably the only person who would have been able to pull off the mergers that he did inside Disney, because he really did he just guided people. I mean, including Steve Jobs, including, you know, and at the end of that book, he says, you know, if Steve Jobs was still around, I think that Apple and Disney would already be merged. They would already be the same company.
Interesting.
Yeah, you haven't gotten that far probably, but I thought it was a big takeaway for me. There's the antithesis of that is somebody like an Elon Musk. Or Steve Jobs, you know, who is very dictatorship. You will do this, you will do it my way or the highway. And I think in the presence of that kind of a CEO, the why of the organization is bigger than the leader. So you have people marching to the same drummer, and then you have just an aggressive leader who basically is challenging them at all times to fulfill on the why. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I think that Elon Musk is one of the first people that comes up for me when I think of somebody like Steve Jobs, right? Like, I think that it's tough to say. Like, you look at somebody like Elon Musk, and he's so brilliant, and he's so interesting to listen to, and he's so, you know, I mean, he's essentially the real Tony Stark.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Right. Like, he legitimately is that guy. Right. And he's very charismatic and weird and interesting and kind of crazy and like all these things. And it's awesome. But when you're dealing with managing a company like Tesla, for example, it really just needs like organized, streamlined growth with him giving input. Like him being the CEO may not be the wisest decision to guide that business. But we've also seen the reverse. Like when Steve Jobs got pulled out of Apple, the thing tanked.
Yeah, totally.
It's hard to know if they're the driving force, if they're the thing, or they're the thing that's holding it down. Yeah. But if you wanted to look at it, you know, statistically across 1,000 businesses, it's usually not those types of personalities that are creating the long-term success, right?
It's somebody like a Bob Iger.
Yeah, and it's more of Bob Iger, right? And I love Elon Musk and I love Steve Jobs, but I feel like they're anomalies, you know, in the CEO role. You know, it's kind of like the referee, you know, in a mixed martial arts fight. You know, the referee is a good referee when you never say their name.
Right. Yes.
Right. When you're talking about the CEO all the time, that might not be the best person to have running the company.
Well, and it's funny because like there are times where all you see is Elon Musk in the headlines. Like I'll be reading the news in the morning and it's like Elon Musk, you know, it's like the whole page, nothing. I mean, he even comes up with his own little category inside Apple News, and it's like, oh, really?
Absolutely. And you know, he goes on Joe Rogan and smokes a joint like any other normal person could, and the stock drops 7%.
Right.
You know, these are the kind of like Bob Iger would not be going on Joe Rogan and smoking a joint. Right. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I think it's awesome. It's authentic. It's real. It's cool. It's why I like him as a human being. I just don't know if it's the right fit for
Tesla and SpaceX.
And this isn't like new information. Like people are constantly calling for his head and trying to remove him you know,
Yeah, totally.
from the, and again, I don't know if it would be beneficial or if it would be a drawback, but, you know, it's abnormal. Let's put it that way. And so this has absolutely no bearing on what we were supposed to be talking about today.
No, we're supposed to talk about landing pages and sales copy, but I like this. This is good. We'll just go and we can save that one for next week.
I mean, I think at this point, you know, we've already gone halfway down the tunnel. You know, I think that we just keep going. And, you know, you and I talked about this before the call. You know, when you're starting your business, you have to wear all the hats, right? And you've got, you know, traditional businesses have executives, and then they've got middle management, and then they've got, you know, the executors, right? And when you start, you have all of them, right? And you're just all over the map. And, you know, it's probably the most profitable the company's ever going to be because you don't hire anybody.
Yeah.
But it gets you to the point where, you know, like I know this is the metric that I've figured out in my head. And maybe, I don't know, I'm going to ask you the same thing. As an agency, I know we can do $80,000 a month with just me.
Right.
That's the number.
Actually, I know that. So the number that I've always run up against is 70 with just me. So like same kind of, and then at that point you're like, fuck, like, what if that is right there?
You're 15 hours a day. You're like adrenaline's like dumping the moment you wake up. Right to the end of the day, you're just like the to-do list is like this long, and you're just like and there's no days off. And you know, you make good money, but it's at the expense of everything else. Yeah. Right. And then from there, you've got to hire. My first hire was Haley. Yeah. Our operations manager.
She was your first hire. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Haley was actually our nanny for 7 years.
Oh, okay. All right. So yeah, that's interesting.
And then she went on to go to school and to run companies, and then she came back around.
She's a ninja. She's ridiculous.
She's super good. Yeah. And that was like, okay, I need to get all of the like admin off my plate, like any scheduling, any invoicing, any following up, you need to start helping me build some like structure. You know, I don't have signatures in my emails. I don't have you know, and then from there, you know, it started stacking up with media buyers and strategists and copywriters and, you know, all these other layers of stuff. And I didn't really start making any more money until the agency got to about $250,000 a month. Like it was just reinvesting into the business until it got to the place where it had kind of caught up with itself. So there's almost like this space that needs to be where you don't make anything more.
Right. Well, because especially in what we do, I mean, it's so resource intensive. I mean, like it's human capital. It's everything is a human.
That's right.
Like, I mean, you can automate some stuff, but and not only that, it's everything is a specialist, you know. So and they don't teach it in school. It's not like you can go hire a car salesman, you know, or it's not like you can just put a help wanted ad somewhere and just say, hey, I'm looking for you know, a dishwasher. You know what I mean?
Family members this year say, hey, I see you're hiring. Do you think I could come and work for you? I'm like, sure. You need 4 years experience. Yeah. Like totally. You can't just rock in here and know how to do digital marketing. Like this is a ton of trial and error and experience.
Well, even then, it's not even like you can go to school and pop out with this kind of experience because they're 5 years behind.
Minimum.
Yeah.
And they're usually teaching high level, you know, more business structure, branding theory, like all of the
theory. It doesn't.
I had this conversation with somebody yesterday where they're like, you know, well, my partner worked for one of the big 5 agencies, and like they put up a Facebook page and they kind of did a couple of things and it didn't work. And I'm like, yeah, that's because they don't know how to do direct response marketing. Yeah, they're taught the case studies of the big branding Fortune 500 stuff, which is super important. Yeah, but it's what you do after you have proof of concept that something can sell. Yeah. Right. Get proof of concept that something can sell first, then start to build the brand and the assets around it so that you have something to exit, you know, in 5 to 10 years.
Right. Like that's like this billion-dollar brand club
Okay.
is entirely about like Warby Parker and all the e-com disrupt Purple mattresses, like the e-com companies that started it as direct response. And then, I mean, 40% of their revenue is ads. 40, I mean, literally, like they're just every dollar they're making in revenue, they're dumping back into, from a front end direct response, sales model. And then they're growing their brand because of it, and then they're achieving billion-dollar exits.
They're growing their brand because they're making so many sales because their ads are in so many places versus building the brand and then hoping people resonate with the brand and then buy some stuff. Right. And if you talk to anybody in the venture capitalist game right now, if they give you money, they want 60% minimum earmarked for Facebook and Instagram ads.
Right. Yep.
Right. Like that's insane where we're at right now. Right. So people who understand direct response marketing have potentially the most valuable skill on the planet presently.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. It's because no matter what happens, it doesn't matter. Even, I mean, the close second would be programmers, I would say. I mean, like programmers, somebody who can build apps, but even then you still have to sell it. Like it's still direct response, no matter how you cut it up.
At the end of the day, something's always got to sell.
Yep.
Right. And maybe that's what we'll go into next week is how do we figure out if it's going to sell? How do you craft something so that it sells?
Yep.
What are the fundamentals in a direct response world to make it sell?
Yep.
But, I mean, even developers now are becoming commoditized, right? I mean, they're being outsourced to, better talent in cheaper places. Your Indias, your Thailands, your, all these other places where they'll do it for $12 an hour.
Yep.
And probably better than the guy charging you 100.
Right. Totally.
But go ahead.
One of my clients told me yesterday that she has a 1-year-old and they are teaching 1-year-olds how to like beginner coding now. Like it's in California. I think in Canada, up in Canada.
That's amazing.
Part of the curriculum. Yeah.
That's amazing. And one of our clients right now teaches blockchain and cybersecurity. They're an accredited university.
Mm-hmm.
And cybersecurity right now there's estimated to be 100 million job openings by 2024.
Wow.
That's like, what?
Yeah.
Right. And blockchain right now has something like 20 million unfilled jobs, and the average salary is like $160,000 to start off.
Wow.
And it just shows that developers and programmers are becoming commoditized, but these niche parts of development are really vastly underserved. And there's so much demand that the salaries are through the roof.
Yep.
Right. And so there's so much opportunity. Like I was saying to Liz yesterday, in then sort of the next 3 to 4 years when I retire, I'd like to start a digital marketing school in Cayman for locals to be able to come and learn the skill. Like not for money, just for fun. And give back, because what's one of those things you can do on a small island that doesn't have a lot of resources or industry?
Yep.
Well, go cloud-based, go digital.
Oh yeah.
Right. Because that's where everything still has been going for 15 years and it's only speeding up.
Right. Yep.
So I think that would be awesome to just teach, That
would be fun.
Be super fun.
We'll come visit.
Perfect.
Maybe even buy a house there.
You'll be the professor. You'll be the other professor.
I like it. That works for me.
The professor and the media professor.
Yeah, that'll work.
We'll create our own titles. It'll be amazing.
Oh, that's funny.
All right. On that, 4 minutes over. So next week, we'll talk about offers and what makes people pull out their credit card.
Sounds good. I will talk to you soon. Have a fun rest of the day and a weekend off.
My vacation weekend.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.